Hopefully another person will join the meeting and we can proceed with things that need to be voted on. All right, so let's skip ahead to the reports. First, welcome everyone to Cable Television Advisory Board. In particular, I'd like to welcome two new members to our board. Captain Dan Medeiros from the Police Department and Cheryl Lindner from the Mayor's Office. All right, and I think actually that looks pretty good as far as I'm gonna the attendance. So all right, so so we'll call the roll. Cheryl Lindner from the Mayor's designee.
Present.
Andrew Sonoda is present. I see that Mr. Cognon has sent a representative, Mr. Mizrovich.
Present.
Mr. Gregory Rodriguez from the school department.
Present.
Sally Highland.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. Thank you.
Alderman Ernie Jetty. Kimberly Kleiner. Kim, I think you're muted.
Present.
And Captain Medeiros, we already introduced you, but are you here?
Present. I'm present.
Jennifer McCormick does not appear to be here, and Chief Rhodes doesn't appear to be here. So there is a quorum. So we'll now actually go back to our regular scheduled agenda. If I can get the right screen open here. All right, there don't appear to be any members of the public present. So we'll move to the first item, which is acceptance of meeting minutes from previous meetings. There were 3 meeting minutes attached to the the email that went out to folks. The minutes for June, September, and December. Is there a motion with regard to those minutes?
A motion to accept the minutes.
There's a motion to accept the minutes. Any discussion?
I do have one comment. My name is misspelled a couple of times. It is Hyland.
All right, and I believe there was also a misspelling in Carrie Miller's name in the September minutes.
Yes, that's correct.
Subject to correction of those typographical errors, is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll have a vote, which has to be by roll call since we're on online here. So Ms. Linder?
Abstain.
Andrew Sonoda votes in the affirmative. Mr. Mizrovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Highland?
Yes.
Ms. Kleiner?
Yes.
Captain Medeiros?
Yes.
All right, motion has passed. Next item on the agenda are communications. We received a letter from the Mayor's Office appointing Ms. Lindner as his representative. Is there a motion with regard to the communication? To accept and place on file? Anyone?
I'll make a motion to accept and place on file.
All right, there's a motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll again go through the roll. Ms. Lindner?
Yes.
Andrew Sonoda votes yes. Mr. Mizrovich,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Highland,
Yes.
Ms. Kleiner,
Yes.
um, Captain Rodriguez, Captain Medeiros, sorry.
Yes.
And that's it. All right, that motion passes as well. All right, Mr. Painter, can you present your report?
I can. All right, our current balance of the operating account 2505 is $627,257.15. Expenses for February, including salaries and facility operations, totaled $45,635. And excuse me, $24,178 of this went towards payments for the chamber and the room 208 upgrades. So that left $21,457 went to the salaries and to facility operations. Channel 16, 96, and 99 broadcasts totaled 2,944 cable casts between December and February. Hold on a sec. And of this 112 live events, Public 96 had 1, Education 99 had 61, and Government 16 had 50. There were 2,944 playbacks, and of this, Public 96 had 750, Education 99 had 886, and the Government had 705. Now down to the IT Division Director position. Director Kleiner will address the board concerning this following this report. All right. Although there is now light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccination program moving forward, life as we knew it is still many months away. Thus, COVID-19 continues to play a major role in our day-to-day community television lives. As we reported in December, with the exception of zoning and planning, who run their own, we record for an edit for replay with them. We are still hosting on Zoom all Board of Aldermen committee meetings as they occur. This setup allows for the committees to go through their agendas without having to worry about the technological side of meeting protocols for security and general procedure. On the Board of Education committees, Tara Kinsella hosts, and we co-host and record backup of every meeting. The Aldermanic Chamber redesign and room 208 upgrades. Although a thorough inspection and retesting regimen, excuse me, will be required at the time the chamber and room 208 become operational again, with the exception of an additional switch in room 208 that will be replaced for compatibility issues with a corresponding switch in the control room, all upgrades have been completed. It is just a matter of time now. The thing on the franchise agreement, the formation of a committee. As our current franchise agreement with Comcast is coming to an end in 2022, we would like to request the formation of a committee today to explore and advise on what should be the outcome of the next agreement with the cable company. Excuse me. My pages are sticking here. The mayor has recommended so far Kim Kleiner, Nick Mizrovich, Cheryl Lindner, Jeff Painter, and Andrew Sonoda. I would request at some point that Pete Johnson be included on this, but I know that we'll get to that point. And now I will switch it over to Pete.
Okay, as far as programming from the education channel side, for the last 3 months, there were way too many programs. Once again, to list here. Normally I present a list of our major accomplishments, but I'll just sort of summarize things. December was quite different as there were no school concerts or basketball or hockey tournaments in 2020. I did spend a number of hours though working on a socially distant studio version of A Christmas Carol with the Fairgrounds Middle School players. We only allowed 2 students into the studio at a time, along with their teacher. And we taped all those segments and spent hours editing them together for a program that aired over Christmas week. During the quarter, we provided live coverage of 24 Nashua School Board and or school board committee meetings. As the pandemic continued, we provided live interscholastic sports coverage as much as possible. Once again, due to COVID-19 restrictions, Nashua ETV was often the only way to watch winter sports for many. We produced live coverage of 18 events from 5 different Nashua area venues. And through partnerships with other live streamers and community TV stations, we were able to show an additional 28 away games, 12 of which were live and another 16 that were aired via delay. Some of the places we broadcast from featured Nashua teams at Alvern High School, Cyclones Arena in Hudson, Merrimack High School, Bedford High School, Salem High School, Goffstown High School, Wyndham High School, and as of last night, Sanborn High School in Kingston, where we did the Bishop Girton girls semifinal game. And also we broadcast the Bedford Portsmouth game that was there before it, thanks to Bedford TV. We reciprocated by providing our live feeds when the away teams were playing in Nashua. We received our new sports camera just prior to basketball season and have used it for most of our sports programming over the last couple of months. We are still awaiting arrival of the scoreboard interface, which has been back ordered, and we continue to use the one that we had with our old package during that time. National Public Health Matters show continued production, and we made 10 new episodes that were aired on Nashua TV, as well as the other 2 PEG channels. We continued to help provide technical assistance and airtime for the mayor's press conferences and constituent programs over the last 3 months. And just one other thing I'll add here, it's not in the report, but we've been working recently with the school district, trying to see if there's a way of creating hybrid meetings for the National Board of Education, where they would be able to utilize Zoom and people in the boardroom at Nashua North. So we asked for some technical assistance from Access AV for that. And actually, I did see in an email that came in this morning. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So, and Greg Rodriguez, I'll pass that on to you as soon as I read it. So, and that's it for my report.
All right. I just saw a chat question from Alderman Jetty, who has joined the meeting. He's asking if anyone else is having trouble hearing Dick. I don't believe Dick Gagnon is actually on the call yet. It was Pete Johnson who was giving his report. I heard Pete. Did anyone else have any issues?
I could hear him. This is Sally.
Yeah, no issues here.
All right.
I will find out on Dick's report, and if he isn't able to come in on the meeting, then I'll have it sent out.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments or concerns that need to be addressed for with regard to the reports? I'm not seeing anyone. So in the interest of keeping things moving, I'm assuming, and Mr. Rodriguez, if you could confirm this, that there hasn't been an education committee report activity beyond what was given in Pete's report?
Correct.
Okay.
I will add one thing. We do need to select a liaison from the education or from CTAB for the Education Channel Committee. since Mr. Leish's retired last summer, we haven't had a liaison from the CTAB committee on our board.
Okay. And then perhaps we can handle that as part of officer elections.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so let's just quickly, as some of you know, I'm under time constraints today, and we'll need to leave early, but perhaps we could move on to new business.
Chairman,
Yes,
Tim Kleiner needs to direct the group, as Jeff Painter mentioned in his report.
yes.
Morning.
Good morning.
We wanted to update the mayor, the board on some recent events. So as of February 24th, we had some changes within the Administrative Services Division. As many of you may have heard, and the mayor has articulated this on many occasions, we are facing extraordinary budget pressures for our upcoming fiscal 22 budget. The mayor issued his guidelines to all division directors, asking that City Hall as a whole, fire, library, police, public works, and others, except for schools, come in at a 0% budget. As a result of these pressures, we had 2 positions within the division eliminated. Those positions were the IT director and the human resources director. So as we realize that this will impact the CTAB committee and its function and its membership, we are working with the legal department now to draft the necessary changes to the administrative section of our code that will have to go to the Board of Aldermen and be voted upon. We will certainly bring that and share that with the committee so that they are well aware of any changes and what we make as a proposal. In the meantime, Mr. Miservich and I, as well as 2 other managers, Mr. Poner and Mr. Johnson, are working very effectively to keep the division, the IT department. We've had experienced no problems to date. And I would suggest that until the changes are made to the administrative code, that we ask Mr. Miservich to sit in Mr. Conningno's place on the committee. Of course, if there are any concerns at any time, you may reach out to me and I'll be happy to address the issues or get the necessary personnel involved.
All right, thank you. And I think since that's a director or designate position on our board, I think just the declaration that Mr. Mesrovich would be handling that position, I think effectively takes care of it, at least for the time being, until a more permanent alteration can be made by the Board of Aldermen. So I don't know that there's any action that we need to take, but thank you for keeping us posted on that. All right. So the franchise agreements is the first item of business under new business. There's been a suggestion that this committee form a subcommittee to work on the renewal of that agreement. Is there a motion with regard to that?
I'll make a motion to put together a subcommittee to review the franchise agreement.
All right. Ms. Linder has made a motion to create subcommittee to handle the renewal of the franchise agreement. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Kleiner.
prior to Mr. Conignon's departure, um, he and I had gathered a lot of information. So we have most of the surrounding towns, as well as the city of Manchester's current agreements. We have a lot of information as well as a video that was put out by the NHMA on how to negotiate and how to construct these agreements. So we are ready whenever the committee is ready to review a wealth of information.
That's terrific. Thank you. All right, any other discussion? Did we have someone join us, or did someone have to?
That was Alderman Jettie coming back in. I think he had a problem with the audio.
Okay. All right. If there isn't any discussion, we'll vote on the motion.
Excuse me, are we stating that the people who were recommended by the mayor should be on this committee, or just the establishment of the committee?
Ms. Linder, perhaps you could clarify your motion.
Sorry about that. Yes, so I'd like to make a motion to form a committee to review and work on this franchise agreement using the mayor's recommendations.
Are we also, excuse me, are we also adding Pete Johnson to that list?
If I might make a comment on that, since it's a subcommittee of the committee, I think the actual membership would be the people appointed who were in the motion, and Pete, since he's a staff member to the committee, would basically, we'd drag him into it anyway. He wouldn't necessarily have to be a member of the committee.
So if I may, Chair, there was one question that Mr. Conignon and I had. In the past, there's been a member of the public on the committee, and I just wanted to kind of establish whether the committee felt that that was still an important role, and at least bring up that discussion.
I've been through this process twice, and I have to say I don't really recall who the public member was. We have public members of CTAB. I'm being one of them, but I don't recall who was the. This could be just my lack of recollection.
I don't remember his name, but there's a gentleman that sat next to me for a couple of years, and he was on the last committee. He was part of some satellite company.
Oh, that was Brian Garrity, and he was a member of CTAB.
Yes, all right, but he was the public member of CTAB, a public member.
Well, there were three actually. Three public members and one business representative. At the moment, I'm the only one that's left standing, I believe. But
wasn't Alderman excuse me.
Sure.
Wasn't former Alderman T-Boom on the committee at one point?
I believe that was when he was aldermanic representative to CTAB.
Okay. Is there any member of the public that we know of who is interested in this? Who's not a member of the CTAB committee?
I see Kim shaking her head no.
Not that has approached us, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, could
Alderman.
I apologize. I'd like to blame it on the traffic, but I can't. But I had trouble getting into the meeting, and then I had trouble hearing, so I had to start over again. So I hate to do this, but could someone repeat the motion that's pending? I didn't hear it at all, so.
The motion is to create a subcommittee of CTAB to handle the renewal of the franchise agreement, and the recommended members of the committee per the mayor's recommendation. And if I can find the right document here, are Kim Kleiner, Nick Mizrovich, Cheryl Lindner, Jeff Painter, and legal representative appointed by corporate counsel, and me. I would suggest that it might be wise to add you to that list as well, as the aldermanic representative, so that the Board of Aldermen, who will have an important part in this process, are represented.
Okay, that's okay with me. So do we have a timeline here? I'm thinking, I did hear the discussion about perhaps including some other member of the public who might have an interest. I know that I was approached by someone, and unfortunately, I can't remember who it was right now, but in the past, someone who seemed to have some familiarity with, with this whole issue of franchise agreements, particularly telecommunications, talked to me at some point, and I think it would be, if we have time and we could, advertise to the public that that we're about to do this, and if anyone's interested, they could contact us. I think that would be, anyway. I'm thinking that there's a lot of people with a lot more knowledge about these things than I have, certainly. There's a lot of talent out there in the city that we might be able to get some help from or take advantage of, and I'd hate to see us pass up on that opportunity, just because the public isn't really aware that we're about to do this. I know I've been approached several times by various people, about the current agreement, and so I don't know if. So my question is, do we have time to reach out for an additional public member?
Ms. Kleiner, related to that question, the timeline for renewal is prompted by the receipt of the letter from Comcast requesting renewal of the contract. And I believe it's a statutory framework related that guides how we have to approach it once we receive the letter. I checked with Jeff earlier, and to his knowledge, he hasn't received the letter. And I believe Ms. Linder also has confirmed that she hasn't, her office hasn't received the letter. Have you received the letter?
Director Cottington did receive the letter,
Okay.
December of 2020.
Oh, okay.
So almost 4 months ago.
So what does the statute, what response are we required? What's the timeline for the response?
I would have to go back and double check as far as what the actual statutory framework is for it. My understanding is there are two options for us that have different degrees of formality as far as how we approach it. I think in both instances, what we've done in the past is we've always had public hearings to try to obtain public feedback. The primary issue being Comcast's fitness to execute under the contract. We don't have influence over the either their rates or their cable line, their channel lineups or any of those sort of things. It's purely as far as their customer service requirements under the contract, their ability to maintain the infrastructure necessary to execute under the contract, that sort of thing. But we do have to have public hearings associated with that.
And we can get that letter to all the members of CTAB.
Okay.
So, so does no one know what
What the actual deadlines are?
what kind of time deadline we have?
I believe the primary deadline obviously is the expiration of the contract, which is next year. So it's not a particularly rapid time frame. And I think we've got some time. The only thing is now that we meet quarterly, we have fewer meetings in the interim. We can call an emergency meeting, if you will. Perhaps at some shorter period to discuss this specifically and to create the committee. And I think given the time that we've already apparently been in receipt of the letter, we probably should do that.
Chair, I guess I would agree with you. So when Director Cottington left, he and I discussed it, and we felt that the committee should be up and running at least by summertime in order to meet the requirements to have the public hearing, have it get through the CTAB committee and also through the Board of Aldermen. So we looked at the June being our kind of drop date where things needed to start progressing.
So in our next meeting is June, correct?
Correct.
I'm thinking that perhaps if we had another special meeting of CTAB, perhaps next month, that will give us enough time to advertise to see if there's any interest in the public for someone who might or want to fill one of the other two public seats on CTAB, and then be appointed to the special committee.
And certainly we can very quickly and with help from others in the division, we can look and work with the mayor's office to bring those candidates forward. I agree with Alderman Jettie. I have heard that residents in the past specifically talk about this agreement, and to not have members of the public involved in the process would, I think, would be a shame.
We definitely need membership or involvement from the public. The form it takes was my only comment. I didn't remember them being actually participants of the sitting down and reviewing the document. It was mainly in the form of working with them through the public meetings. But all right, so am I hearing a motion to table?
Would you
May I
like me to
interject?
withdraw my motion, Chair?
Okay,
Would that be?
May I interject?
Ms. Highland.
Is there, can we just vote on these particular members that were recommended by the mayor at this time so that they can get started? And then if there is an appropriate candidate to add from the public or from the public person who has been appointed to the committee, can that be done later at the June meeting? Rather than delay the start of the work on it.
We certainly could. I guess my thought is that there's nothing that particularly hinders members of this committee from working on and reviewing the existing contract, reviewing the letter that we've been in receipt, and learning about the process to be through the materials that Ms. Kleiner and Director Cottignon have already prepared in anticipation of being appointed to a committee next month. Mr. Painter?
Well, I was just going to suggest perhaps, a meeting the second Friday in April, which would be April 9th.
That sounds like a good time.
All right.
All right. I'm going to need to leave in about 4 minutes. So I think that Mr. Misrovich will be taking over the meeting at that point as chair. But if we're not actually voting on the creation of the subcommittee, let's move on to election of officers. As you know, annually we elect officers of this committee from its membership. Mr. Leicius had long served as vice chairman, and with his retirement, that post is vacant, as is clerk. And of course, if someone else wants to be chair, they can certainly put their name in for the running for that. Are there any motions with regard to nominating officers? Mr. Misrovich?
I make a motion to keep Chairman Cernoda as the chairman for the future.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other nominations for chair? If not, I hate to have to do a roll call for this, but let's see. Ms. Lindner?
Yes.
I abstain. Mr. Misrovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Highland?
Yes.
Alderman Jettie?
Yes.
Ms. Kleiner?
Yes.
Captain Medeiros?
Yes.
I believe that's it. All right. Well, thank you. And the next thing that we need to do is nominating a vice chairman who will probably immediately be pressed into service. I would like to nominate Ms. Lindner. Are there any other nominations? Mr. Misrovich?
I second that nomination.
All right. If there are no other nominations, we'll go through a roll call. Ms. Lindner?
Abstain.
I vote in the affirmative. Mr. Misrovich?
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Ms. Highland?
Yes.
Alderman Jettie?
Yes.
Ms. Kleiner?
Yes.
Captain Medeiros?
Yes.
Congratulations, Ms. Lindner. And actually with that, I'll hand the meeting over to Ms. Lindner to finish it. I'll see everyone in April on the 9th. All right, thank you all.
One question, is this motion still on the table for the committee, or has that been withdrawn?
I believe Ms. Lindner withdrew her motion.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, congratulations.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you,
All right,
Chairman.
So now we'll follow up with any nominations for the position of clerk. Do we have any nominations?
Do we have any volunteers?
Do we have any volunteers? Can we hold off on that maybe till the next meeting? Maybe one of the new members might be interested. Okay.
Maybe that might be a condition of membership.
Exactly. All right, so we are on to the liaison to the Education Committee? Do we have any nominations? Mr. Rodriguez, is that something maybe you could help us with over the next month to try to recruit someone?
I can see, I can try.
I believe
but-
that has to be a CTAB member as the liaison, so.
So again, maybe a new member when we recruit some new people.
Just so people know that the CT or the Education Channel Committee only meets 6 times a year. So, and it looks like for the foreseeable future, we'll be meeting via Zoom. I think the committee members this past Tuesday all sort of liked the convenience of being able to meet virtually. So I think as a subcommittee, they're able to do that at any time, so.
It is a committee I'm familiar with from my past. So I think it could be certainly any member of the committee.
Do we have a motion for the liaison? Anyone?
I nominate Ms. Kleiner.
Do we have a second?
I will second. Sally?
Okay. Great. So we'll take a roll call vote. So Cheryl Lindner votes yes. Mr. Painter? I don't have his list, I'm sorry.
Sorry, because I'm not a member in.
Right, I don't have Mr. Cernota's list with me, so I'm going to go through my screen.
Okay,
Okay, Captain Medeiros,
Yes.
Ms. Kleiner,
And
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes,
Mr. Miservich,
Yes.
Ms. Hyland,
Yes.
Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much. All right. Do we have any members of the public that have joined? Oh, Mr. Painter.
well, I'll continue to be the default clerk.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. Do we have any members of the public that are on? Any comments from members of the public? Any remarks by members of the committee?
This is Sally. I do have one thing to add. The Solid Waste Department will be hosting the household hazardous waste collection programs this year again. We are anticipating that the first event will be held, and this is a regional event open to 11 communities, including Nashua. The first event will take place in mid-April on the Saturday, the 17th of April. So there's more information on the website on that and on the rest of the schedule for the year. Thank you.
Do we have any other remarks by members of the board?
Yeah. So, Ms. Linder?
Yes, Alderman Jettie.
So going back to the discussion about the Comcast or Xfinity contract, I'm wondering whether, I can't recall whether the mayor's office or administrative services, don't we have a public relations person that works for the city? And if so, could that person help us, perhaps have an interview with the chairman or something with, the Telegraph, the Union Leader, Nashua Patch, whatever other news organizations are out there to, talk about the fact that we're looking at the contract and that there is an opportunity for interested people to come forward and maybe serve on the but certainly provide input. Is that a possibility? Is there someone that could help us do that?
Yes, the mayor's office has a communications representative, and that's how we distribute all of our press releases and send information out to the newspapers and news media outlets. So we can.
Perhaps one of the, I'm thinking Access Nashua, one of those programs could do something along those lines. Anything we can do to get the word out, because I've been struck. Well, struck is probably the wrong word, but a lot of people have commented to me that we're doing things and people complain that they have no idea. Like recently we voted to reestablish the barriers next week downtown, and I know that Director Cummings had several meetings soliciting input, and a lot of people complained to me that they had no idea these things were happening. I'm thinking of the ward meetings for the parking study, and I think that at the Ward 5 meeting, I think there were two members of the public who appeared at that meeting. So I'm not blaming anyone, but the fact is that we're not getting the word out about a lot of these things, and so anything we can do to improve that, I think would be a good thing.
Okay. Access Nashua, is there a flyer or a graphic that can be made and put up as a rotation through the notifications?
Yeah, we could make a graphic that could go up in between shows on all three of the PEG channels. That still only hits a portion of the population that have cable TV. There are a growing number of folks that are streaming only. I think at some point city needs a person who can do a lot more in the realm of Facebook and Instagram and where people are a lot these days. It's difficult now that our don't have a daily newspaper other than online, and so it's difficult for people to find information, and most of them are finding it on social media.
So along that vein, if when you develop that for lack, my lack of expertise in this area is showing, that thing that you're going to put on
slide.
I'm sorry.
Well, we'll call it a slide typically.
That slide. Can you put that in a format like, for example, I know a lot of the aldermen have Facebook pages, and the city has I think the city has a Facebook page, and if you could make available to us something that we could put on our Facebook pages to help along those lines.
Sure.
I would be glad to put it on mine. I'm sure other aldermen would be too.
Okay. I can make sure that they get that. Ms. Miller gets that and can distribute it to the members.
Oh, good, thank you.
Do
So,
we have any other remarks from members?
and so will this graphic be looking for members of the CTAB committee, or specifically the franchise agreement committee? I think we need the public representation on the CTAB committee as well.
My suggestion would be that it look for people to be on CTAB and that we get the public representation from the people on CTAB, which is what was done in the past. So,
I agree. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, do we have anything else? Any other remarks? Any other concerns? Yes,
Getting my
Mr. Painter.
getting my first vaccine today, so I won't say that I'm excited, but perhaps.
If we have nothing else, can we have a motion to adjourn, please?
I move we adjourn
mo-
by roll call.
Second?
Second.
I'll second that. This is Sally.
Okay. Captain Maderos,
Yay.
Ms. Kleiner,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mr. Mizovich,
Yes.
Ms. Hyland,
Yes.
Cheryl Lindner votes yes. Alderman Jettie.
Yes.
All right, and we are adjourned at 9:21.